Hey guys, this is Dennis, the founder of Think Hero.
And I'm David Griffin, your resident comic book and video game guru.
And this is our review of Game of Thrones Season 4, Episode 4.
Yeah, it's called Oathkeeper.
So what's interesting about this episode is that it actually didn't take place over too many locations this time.
No, kept it small.
Small, yeah. And it was a bit of a slower episode, especially for an episode that reveals, mostly of what happened.
Good slow.
Joffrey's death.
Slow.
No, it's a good slow.
Right,
but
when we say slow, people get offended. They'll be like, "Well, what do you mean it was boring?" It's like, no, good slow.
No, it was a good episode, but they did slow down a bit just to let you kind of soak in a lot of the stuff that's happening. So let's start off with King's Landing, which is always the place that has the most stuff that's going down. It's but it is revealed that not only did Littlefinger, have something to do with Joffrey's death.
Right.
He was basically working with the Tyrells, specifically Olenna Tyrell, to kill Joffrey because Olenna Tyrell tells that story with Marjorie about how she got her husband.
Giving her daughter advice on sex, which is funny. That was
great.
Her granddaughter. Sorry,
granddaughter, yeah.
That was funny. That was a great scene.
Because it just shows that, okay, this is the reason. She didn't want her to marry Joffrey because Joffrey was a bastard.
Olenna's taken off. She's going back to Highgarden.
Well, because she knows,
it's getting hot. It's getting heated. She needs to get out.
Well, yeah, shit's going to go down. Also, she's, she might be implicated later on. Who knows what's going to happen, what's going to be revealed. But still, with Marjorie, she basically says, look, you need to seduce the new king, Tommen. Is that his name?
Tommen, yeah.
Because otherwise, we're going to lose, all this, all the kind of things that they had set up.
Yeah, and as a young male going through the stages, who wouldn't like to have a beautiful 20-something-year-old visit your chambers every night? I love the kids. I don't know the actor very well. We haven't really seen much of him, but I think he did a good job. It was nice when she was talking. It's weird because I don't know how old this is not the actors. I have no idea how old the actors are, but he seems so much younger. Yes. Like he seems like a little kid.
That's why she kisses him on the forehead at the end.
So that would have been a little bit weird. I think if they went a little too far. But I love his reaction when she said, "You want me to come visit you again?" And he's just like, "Yeah, come back and visit me."
I'm guessing he's supposed to be the character is supposed to be what, 12, 13?
Right. Yeah, the actor could be older, but yeah, he looks like young. He's a kid. He's definitely a kid. He did a good job. I thought he did good. I mean, he was good. That was a great scene. And going back to talking about Littlefinger, I loved Sansa always kind of gets a bad rap, and I like to see that Littlefinger was testing her. She was like, I don't think my husband. She was like saying who she didn't think who killed who, and he would say why, and she kept giving answers, and she was right. Sansa's not an idiot. She's maybe naive to the world a little bit, but she's learning. She learned a lot at King's Landing. She had to grow up fast, and I think now that she's on this boat with Littlefinger kind of isolated and alone, we'll probably see that because Littlefinger, I love that reaction he had to her when she's like, well, what do you want? And he kind of looked at her, kind of put his arm, I think, on her hand on her shoulder. He's like, everything, or I want it all, basically. So he's ambitious. Littlefinger's a great character. Yeah,
and he revealed that the necklace that she was wearing from Dantas was used. What I don't get, though, is I don't understand the purpose of that. Like, Olenna Tyrell is big enough where she doesn't need to, have Sansa, I guess, unless she wants to frame her or something.
Right, like she could have gotten somebody else. But
not only that, she could have brought the poison in herself. Like the Tyrells are not, they're not being patted down. There's no security system. No,
once you're in the wedding, you're
no metal detectors going on there. If you're that up there in terms of, you're highborn, you're one of the most powerful families in the whole kingdom. Right. They're not going to check out all your stuff,
No.
So that's my only thing is I still don't understand unless they purposely wanted to frame Sansa with a necklace, and they're not even suspecting anything with a necklace.
No, because the necklace is gone because Littlefinger threw it in the ocean, I think, when they were on the boat. He saw, there was the previous episode when he, took it off Sansa's neck or whatever, so that's gone. The evidence is gone for that. But Sansa is, I guess, suspicious because she fled, and she's married to Tyrion. She's married.
Exactly.
To Tyrion,
they think they thought Tyrion and Sansa are in cahoots.
Right.
Doesn't really matter because Cersei doesn't care. I mean, she just wants. She sees, okay, it's Tyrion.
Right.
I mean, she's so angry that she's blinded. She's like, oh, it's Tyrion. It's Sansa. I'm gonna, I want them dead. And Tyrion made that point when he met up with Jaime, like. It doesn't matter. Someone could come in there and confess. Littlefinger, Olenna Tyrell could come confess with all the with the necklace and all that stuff and say
Right.
they did it, and it wouldn't matter because Cersei just wanted to kill Tyrion.
Right, that was a great scene. I mean, I was happy when Bronn convinced him to go visit his brother. I mean, because anytime those guys are in a room, it's just great. Because Cersei's just so bitter and drunk all the time. It's nice to see Tyrion and his brother be able to share that time, Jaime together.
Because I haven't read the books, but from what people who have read the books, like you have told me, that Jaime and Tyrion have a much closer bond that you don't really see in the TV show.
Right.
And you see some of that in this episode, but I guess in the books they detail it out more.
Right. Yeah.
Besides Bronn and Jaime,
Yeah.
which I think they have a cool relationship. Bronn telling him about how he's like, oh, you talk to that to my brother. He said, yeah, I do. He got used to it. But besides that, we had those nice scenes with Jaime and Brienne.
Yes.
He gives her the sword, gives her the armor, tells her to go basically protect Sansa because he wants to keep his oath.
Right. I mean, I think
his vows.
And I hope this brings people back to, not that, I mean, it's a TV show. You can feel any way you want about a character. It's freedom of opinion, of course. But I mean, I hope people, still like Jaime and don't hate on him too much. There seems to be a lot of anger and aggression with our last review. I noticed a lot of commenters, especially geared towards me and you, maybe more towards me, I guess, that, we were talking about the whole rape scene. And the director has stated that he meant it to be consensual.
Yeah.
The book is consensual. Now, once you put something out there in an art form, it's up to interpretation. So anybody's opinion is completely valid. But he was trying not to make it seem like a rape scene, even though people are like, hey, if she said no, then that means no, David. No means no, David. I'm like, look, this is a TV show. Like, the actors are fine. There's no, there's not really happened. But I mean, in the same sense, it's like the director said this wasn't supposed to be. So it was great seeing Jaime this week do another honorable thing. I think Jaime is trying to be better than what he is, even though he's not perfect. It was nice seeing him giving the armor to Brienne, giving him Oathkeeper, giving her Oathkeeper the new sword. 'Cause I think he is a good character. I think Jaime is trying to be better than what his dad is and what his sister is. He's trying his best. He's not perfect. He's trying, though.
Also, with that scene, I guess,
what did you think? I mean, we got there was some backlash in the comments last week being like, David, no means no. And I'm like...
I read a bunch of stuff, and I guess it wasn't their intent to make it rape, that it was supposed to be consensual.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure there's legitimate arguments and there's legitimate controversy and legitimate anger towards that scene. However, there were some things where I was at the point where are you mad because of the way it's being portrayed? Or are you mad that it's different from the book? Some people were upset just because it was different from the book. And I'm like,
sure.
Sorry, man. That's let's put that aside and talk about just the scene.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, so like I said, I was glad to see Jaime get a nice moment in this episode. I was not, because hopefully that takes away from, if people are feeling negative towards him because of the Cersei Jaime scene, in the burial crypt. Hopefully that'll.
I think they probably, if it was something that was supposed to be portrayed as consensual, they should have shown, I think, a little bit more.
Yeah, I agree.
In terms of they did show a little bit of her kissing him back, but it was very I don't know, the way it was edited together, I think
editing was a little bit off. Yeah,
it was off. I think there should have shown a little more.
Right. I think people get it's interesting seeing some of the comments. I think people got offended, when I said yeah, look like she was kissing her back. People were like, it doesn't matter if she was kissing him back. I'm like, guys, we're talking about, this is a TV series. I'm not analyzing a court case where some horrific thing happened. This is a TV series. These are actors. This is a script. They go home at the end of the day. There's no foul play going on. It's it's a TV series. I mean, so at the same point, it's it was very interesting hearing all the hostility, but after this week, you don't really hear that much. People seem to really like this episode and all the new twists and turns.
Well, besides sending Brienne to protect Sansa, he's sending Podrick too.
That was a great scene. I love seeing Podrick's grin on his face. He was just so happy, just happy to be involved.
Well, yeah, because he has something to do.
Right.
Now he's not going to get killed at King's Landing.
Right.
I thought the funniest scene is when he called Brienne Sir.
Yeah, he's like, my
lady.
My lady, yeah, that was great. He's like, he'll slow me down. He's like, I won't slow you. Yeah, he was great. I love Pod. Okay. So we'll see more Pod then. That's good. So it was interesting too with this episode. it kind of took a step. Not I want to say a step away from the books, but it took a step in a direction that I don't think none of the book readers have seen yet. Because we know that George R. R. Martin has had meetings with Benioff and Weiss. They know the ending of the story, so whether Mr. Martin finishes the books or not, they know where it's going. They also said that they may go off in. I know Roth, who used to work here at Think Here, was now with IGN, commented that they've had meetings where they said they might go away from the books a little bit.
Yeah.
So that, which is great. That's fine. I love that. So let's start off with not the ending, but let's start off with Bran and his adventures. Because things happened in the book. The whole Craster's Keep thing, I didn't see coming. I didn't know they were going to go to Craster's and talk to the mutineers and all that. So that was really interesting. I was like, oh, I didn't know this was going to happen. So when stuff like that happens, like in The Walking Dead or something, I have no idea what's going to happen. So what did you think? I know you haven't read the books, but what did you think about that?
Bran isn't my favorite storyline, and people have said that because in the book it's much more in depth and much more interesting. But in this, I haven't read the books. Remember, TV show, his storyline is just not that interesting in the TV series. They don't dedicate much time to it. What I do like is that they're combining it with Jon Snow's storyline, which is more interesting.
Right.
And so I like that now Jon Snow is heading towards Craster's Keep with his, people, and that Bran is their hostage, and there's going to be some sort of standoff.
Right, yeah, which I have no idea what's going to happen. I think that's great, which is I'm down with. I'm like, wow, what's going to happen here? So it gives me something to kind of look forward to.
And we also see that Roose Bolton's man is coming in as like a double agent. As trying to be part of the Night's Watch, and buttoning up to Jon Snow, like he's like, oh yeah.
He's there for like a day. Dude's there for a day. He's going on the secret mission, and he's saying his vows. I'm like, dang, he had some fast training. He was there quick. He got his training quick.
It's because he already knows how to fight.
I think probably a lot of people, I know myself included, kind of forgot about the mutineers. You kind of forgot about all these guys. It's like, oh yeah, there's people up at Craster's Keep that that killed the Lord Commander and all that stuff. But like we haven't really focused on them since that scene happened. So it was interesting to see those guys again. I'm like, oh yeah, there's that guy, the one guy with the beard, and the other guy who's been in Pacific Rim, who's awful.
He looks like he's like the leader of this group,
right? Who was given that speech?
He's the most feared.
Yeah, so that was interesting. So it's nice to see those guys again, and Jon Snow off on the secret mission. I have no idea what's going to happen. I think that's really interesting. So I like that. I like that they're kind of playing with the story a little bit. I mean, I'll be curious to see what other people think, but I enjoyed it. So then, looking at the last part of the episode, again, kind of veering off from the books, or maybe something that's going to be written in the books. I mean, again, to quote our former, colleague Roth Cornett, did actually a special today, a video about is Game of Thrones spoiling the books now, the TV series. Now, granted, these books have not been written, so I have no idea. I have no answer to that question, but what I did like seeing is as soon as you saw that the White Walker take the baby and start walking, or start riding on his horse, I was like, now where's this going? And then you kind of see that little I don't know if it's an ice fortress or something buried.
Well,
it
looked like the ice version of Stonehenge.
Right,
it was like the ice henge or whatever.
And dropping the baby off. Now, again, this is all speculation. I'm just hypothesizing here. I don't know if that was maybe a hierarchy. Think of alien races. Like it seemed like those White Walkers looked a little bit more put together. Their faces were a little more, I don't know, I want to call them elegant looking. Like they didn't look quite as zombie-ish as the other ones. And I'm like, maybe they're the elders of, I don't know, I'm making stuff up. But it was interesting, seeing the baby and then touching the baby on the cheek and then the baby's eyes turning blue. Transforming. So, I'm like, who are those people?
Is this how they get new, White Walkers or something?
Right.
The non-zombie versions of them?
And what I'm curious is because we know that Benioff and Weiss they've said this, that they may veer away from the books. Is this them veering away from the books, or is this something George R. R. Martin told them in a meeting, about what he's planning on writing? So I'm curious. What did you think about that scene? Not knowing the books, but what did you think about that as a scene in general?
I mean, I thought it was cool. I don't think it was, at least for me, maybe it was for the people who read the books, it wasn't as momentous for me, because I just see, okay, he carries the baby, takes him, blah, 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 blah. The music, blah, 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 and so when it ends, I'm not going, oh my God,
right.
I'm just like, okay, cool,
Right.
I want another hour of Game of Thrones. That's basically. It wasn't for me, a cliffhanger or something I'm like, oh my God, I gotta run and tell people. Did you see that last?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't as big as Joffrey's dying. Right.
So it's more of a wait and see, and also with the White Walkers, I'm also taking a wait and see approach to them because most of the stuff I'm very interested in is kind of the political stuff that's happening with King's Landing, and even some of the more supernatural stuff, like let's say the dragons with Daenerys, that does have a political, even though it's a supernatural stuff. I mean, she wants to come from across this narrow sea to like,
right,
let's see how well received she is. Can she get armies, her army, and all that stuff. So the White Walker stuff isn't as compelling to me yet. Maybe when they start coming down and trying to like breach the wall, that will get more exciting.
Yeah.
Who knows? With Mance Rayder, is Mance Rayder going to team up with the Night's Watch and the rest of Westeros to fight the White Walkers? It's not like he's in cahoots with them.
I have a feeling, and this is just again a guess, but I have a feeling since this is episode 4, so we're almost halfway there, we may even get before the end of the season a full scene with the White Walkers, not just hints. Maybe not like telling us everything, but maybe we'll see a scene of them talking, communicating somehow. Because I'm like, that scene was pretty revealing to the sense like, okay, there's a bigger picture than just a bunch of frozen people, like zombie-looking people walking around. There's like, I mean, it looked like some kind of council. There was like what looked like 12, like a bunch of them lined up with like all black on, and it looked like there's structure. There's a hierarchy. So I'm curious to know more about that. But again, like you said, it's not really a big cliffhanger because touch a baby's eye turns blue. It's like, what does that mean? Who knows? And
then also we have Daenerys. This was actually the beginning of the episode. You had Grey Worm, trying to learn English, and then them giving the weapons to the slaves so that they can fight and revolt. And they kind of, they did a little scene. I know I had talked to some people like John Schnapp. He told me that he kind of got upset at that one sequence because they, how like this whole Meereen place, they speak a different language, and no one speaks English. But then written on the walls,
in perfect English,
kill the master. It didn't bother me that much, just because I think I'd seen that sequence in the trailer so much.
Yeah, you see the guy getting surrounded by all the slaves.
Yeah, and with the kill the masters and stuff, that I guess I forgot about that. I just was, already just anticipating that scene.
Right.
And then we get to see more of like Dany's kind of Khaleesi side in the sense of she didn't want to give mercy to them. She's like, oh, we got to respond with the injustice with justice, which I think in this world of Game of Thrones,
that's how you win.
That's
like a very Tywin. Tywin would do something like that.
Yeah, you don't want to do anything. Like if it was Ned Stark, it's like, oh, okay, we'll just we'll put him in jail and mercy gets you killed in Game of Thrones. A lot of bad stuff happens to people when they have mercy or trusting and forgiveness and all that stuff. So she's like, no, we're gonna kill, and she tacked them up, crucify them in a similar way as the children pointing. And I thought that was cool. This is the first time that we've seen her use kind of the Targaryen flag.
Oh yeah, up again on the pyramid,
on the top, because even though she is Targaryen, she's the last one. She isn't exactly, too proud of the Targaryens.
No, because the Mad King, and all that.
The Mad King, and then also her brother was very cruel to her, and so I guess maybe she's now kind of adopted it.
It's more like she's Mother of Dragons. That seems to be more the title she likes to go to, is Daenerys, Mother of Dragons. They just call her Mother all the time. I think she likes that title better,
Yeah, and she's become kind of a Messiah-like figure.
Almost bigger than her name.
Yeah, freeing the slaves. People adore her and love her. And I hope we get to see some of those consequences of, when people are so beloved and think you're so perfect and all that stuff. And then, everyone has faults. So I'm hoping to see certain problems come up later on for her.
Right, yeah, because Daenerys, she's very naive in a lot of ways. She always thinks like, oh, I'm going to sail west and people are going to love me. They're going to clamor for me. And it's like, Jorah.
No one gives a shit about you.
Yeah, I think Jorah said like a year or two ago, a season or two ago, he said like, people want like, a home, safe home, their kids to grow up, like they want, just like politics in America, like, it's just like we're not. Granted, there is, not to get political, but there is, there's propaganda and stuff like that. Like that can get negative. But the most part, people just want to feel safe to some degree, And I think she thinks she's buying into her own Messiah stuff, which is a little bit, might let her down. Who knows? Who knows what's gonna.
All right, guys. So that's what we thought of this episode of Game of Thrones. I forgot to mention my favorite new character this episode, Sir Pounce, the cat.
The cat.
Tommen's cat.
Good old Tommen, Sir Pounce. Because what's his name? He said my brother wanted to skin him or something, like serve his innards in his food. I was like, oh, that's awful.
Yeah, well, we all knew what kind of person Joffrey was. That's what's interesting about the Tommen and Marjorie and Tywin and Cersei and just like that whole dynamic, because it's totally changed now because Joffrey's dead.
Right. Yeah.
You have someone that actually can be controlled. So who's going to control him?
Right. Yeah.
Joffrey was like, he was a loose cannon, you know? We didn't know what was going to go on.
No, he was crazy, yeah.
So, yeah, all right, guys. So that's what we thought. You can post your comments below on the website, thinkhero.com, or on our YouTube channel, Think Hero Pro. Make sure to subscribe to that.
You guys can check us out on Twitter. Talk to Dennis and myself about anything Game of Thrones, other favorite TV shows you're watching. We're at Think Hero. I'm at GriffinDE.
We also have a Facebook page. That's facebook.com/ThinkHeroFans. Make sure to like that page and share our videos on Twitter and Facebook and all that stuff.
Yeah.